Now here's where things get crazy, but I'm going to explain it for you. I'm going to break it down for you. Gennady Golovkin's next opponent could possibly be a fighter by the name of Dominic Wade, who is 18-0 with 12 KOs. You may know him most recently, or not too recently. Last summer, he fought Sam Solomon in which a fight that he didn't look good. And Sam Solomon is a pretty solid fighter. T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live now. This scenario with Golovkin trying to find an opponent for his April 23rd fight is just getting out of control. They wanted it to be Andy Lee, but Andy Lee lost to Billy Joe Saunders. Those in the know that if Billy Joe Saunders would have won the fight, which he did, that he had no plans, him and his promoter, Frank Warren, had no plans in fighting Golovkin. The WBC said that WBC champion at 160 pounds, Canelo Alvarez, after defeating Miguel Cotto, WBC said that Canelo can have an interim bout in between, and them guys can meet maybe in September of 2016 or May of 2017. So they're not fighting in May. There's going to be no Canelo versus Golovkin in early 2016 or in mid 2016. I doubt if it's happening in 2016, in any way, shape, or form. Canelo is going to lose to Golovkin, in my opinion. Canelo wants no parts of Golovkin, not right now, especially after just winning his title. And his promotional team is trying to get as much money out of this fight and trying to build it up as much as they can because they know that this is a chance that Canelo can lose. When it comes to opponents that Golovkin can fight. Now, he's the IBF champion. He's the WBC interim champion, and he's the WBA Super World champion. The only belt that he doesn't have, the only belts that he doesn't have is Danny Jacobs' WBA World. And the reason why that fight won't happen is because, for one, Danny Jacobs is a Showtime Al Haymon PBC fighter, and Golovkin is strictly tied to HBO. But the biggest reason why the fight won't happen is because Golovkin is strictly tied to HBO. Now, when it came to Tureano Johnson was first the WBC Silver Champion, next in line after Golovkin to get his shot at that title. But now he's the IBF. Well, he was the IBF #1 contender. So the IBF, if Billy Joe Saunders versus Golovkin didn't go through, the IBF was going to order Golovkin versus Tureano Johnson. They didn't get a chance to order the fight because Tureano Johnson got injured. So the next in line that the IBF has ordered is for Golovkin to fight Dominic Wade. Dominic Wade is an Al Haymon fighter. Now it can go two ways. It can go to purse bid, right? And Al Haymon will likely outbid K2 Promotions, and Golovkin would have to not fight on HBO and fight on PBC or fight on Showtime, wherever they want the fight to be. Or Al Haymon, knowing that Dominic Wade would get slaughtered and not ready yet, will pull Dominic Wade out of that fight and send him along another path. After all, his fight was that last fight against Sam Solomon, in which he didn't look good. Now, it's funny because if this fight does happen, this would be the first time that an Al Haymon fighter would be fighting on HBO, or HBO can just not televise the fight at all, and when it comes to television rights, Golovkin can only fight on HBO or fight on nothing at all. I mean, if it's Box Nation, then you guys over there in the UK and overseas can get it, but in America, we won't be able to see Golovkin's fight. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this. I'm thinking it's going to go to purse bid, and it's a shame that Golovkin now has to fight a caliber of opponent like this. And when it comes to the IBF, you have to respect their rules because they do enforce their mandatories. If you're ranked in the IBF and you keep winning, you keep doing what you're supposed to do, one thing about the IBF is they will make sure that you get your title. So I don't want to see the fight. I don't want to see Golovkin versus Billy Joe Saunders, really, because I know that they'll only just be fighting Billy Joe Saunders for the belt. I want to see Golovkin versus Canelo, but what I just know that it's just not going to happen in May, and I really don't even feel comfortable or confident to say that it's going to happen in September. With the way Canelo and Golden Boy's talking about a 90-10 split and a 155 catch weight for your mandatory, I'm thinking, well, what if Golovkin says he doesn't want to fight at a catchweight? Then is the fight canceled? Does WBC not strip Canelo? The whole situation is confusing. T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. As this Golovkin versus Dominic Wade situation develops, We're going to see if Golovkin will fight Dominic Wade if Al Haymon doesn't pull Dominic Wade. Also, there's the wild card that if Al Haymon wins the purse bid, then he'll be the promoter of the fight, which means that he can have Dominic Wade versus Golovkin on PBC or on Showtime. And I'm thinking, will Golovkin drop his IBF title? Golovkin's whole goal is to be the undisputed champion at 160 pounds. And when it comes to what Billy Joe Saunders is doing on the WBO's end, and when it comes to what Canelo is doing on the WBC end, it just doesn't seem like he's going to be able to accomplish that goal, especially since he's getting older. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.